What we're going to be talking about today is the productivity, okay? Productivity and the results and the focus that you're going to have. We're going to be discussing the 7 habits of highly successful people. And we'll be breaking those down and talking about them in a little bit more detail and focusing on the ones that are the primary ones that are really going to make a difference. So how today is going to run? We're going to talk about a few different things. So purpose, it's always purpose, and you actually find out very quickly that purpose is one of the habits, the 7 habits. So we're going to be talking about purpose. The purpose for today, you actually get really clear about the skills that make a difference. What's going to help you grow your business year on year and continue to be more and more successful. Now, the 7 habits of highly successful people. So we're going to be talking about what it is that they do that makes a difference day on day. The content we're going to be talking about is we're going to be focusing on the 7 habits of highly successful people, but from my perspective rather than the book's perspective. It's going to be from my perspective, from my experience. I'm just aware of the 7 that he talks about, and I'll talk about those and which ones I believe are primary and make a big difference. Okay, so the 7 habits of highly effective people. The author is Stephen Covey, that's who put that book together. What he's talking about is not new. The content in there is not new. He's studied highly successful people, and he's going, well, these are the top 7 things that they've all told me are really important, or that I've studied and realised are important to success. So what he's talking about is not new, so I'll be talking about my version of that. I've been aware of this, I've been working for clients for quite some time. I did personal coaching before business, and it's the same. Doesn't matter if it's business, doesn't matter if it's personal, success works the same way. So it's highly effective people rather than necessarily successful, but we're talking about it in a business perspective. We'll be learning what's critical to success. So one of these stands out about all the others. And in the copy you might have seen, one of them had plus, the number 1 critical factor. And how they apply. So we'll also be looking at how these apply specifically to various situations. So this is the first one. And not all business owners like hearing this one, depending on what level they're at. Those that are going to be successful love hearing this. It's 100% responsibility. When you take 100% responsibility for everything that's going on in the business, you have the power to change it. If you blame it on something else, you immediately lose all power. So take ownership of your current results and challenges. Before change comes responsibility. So you can't change anything unless you take responsibility. But you've got to know that responsibility is not blame. Okay, responsibility is not blame. Because that's the first thing that people say to me. And I go, oh, you've got to take responsibility for it. And they go, it wasn't me, I didn't do it. I said, no. It's not my fault. I go, no, I'm not blaming you, okay? It's not about blame, it's not about right or wrong. It's about having the power to change it. And in taking 100% responsibility, you instantly gain complete power to change it. While the others are sitting there going, oh, it wasn't me, I didn't do it. Oh, it was the GFC. That's that was one of the common ones for quite a few years. And even now, some people still saying, oh, it's the GFC. It's just impacting Australia now, and we're feeling it. But the reality is that most of the self-made millionaires prior to the internet revolution, most of them were made in the worst economic times. And so that's because they took responsibility. They know that, they've got a lot of them maybe, they had a factory, they had 100 employees, which is possibly half the town's employed population. If they went under, the whole town's in trouble. So, and there's, 100 families relying on that factory. And they're like, well, we're going backwards. We haven't got money to pay our staff, and we're about to go bankrupt. What do? They've taken the responsibility for the results, and they've taken action on that. And that's when they've got serious about it. They've taken 100% responsibility for it, and what are we going to do about it? And they've learned what they needed to be successful. So you have the power to change anything.
I was going to say, I love that story of Oprah, and obviously she's a billionaire, and airline loses her bag, and she said it was my fault. She said, I have to take full responsibility for it because if I don't, I can't change it,
Yeah.
and it'll keep happening.
Yeah.
And it's just phenomenal, even right down to, you know, you think how many people blame the airline when their bag gets lost.
Yeah.
Oprah's
Everyone.
like, no way.
Automatic response.
Yeah. Oprah's like, no way, that's my fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
Full responsibility.
And there's the level of responsibility.
Yeah.
Saying, oh, you know, how easy is it to blame an airline versus taking 100% responsibility? You know, that's how she becomes a billionaire. You know, it's not by accident, it's by responsibility. So yeah, that's a great example. And I love her story because of where she came from.
Yeah.
People complain about, oh, there are circumstances, and they like to blame the world and everything else. And like, hang on, at 13, she was homeless. You know, she was a black homeless girl at the age of 13, having a horrific, you know, life, being abused and all sorts of things, and yet she's managed to get to where she is. How does any homeless person come back from that at the age of 13 with, you know, you've got no education, you've got nothing going for you, and in America back then being black was not a good thing. You know, who's going to give you a go? So, and you're right, she took 100% responsibility and changed her world. You know, did something that most people would go is impossible. So this is it. This is the key. And if you take only one thing, it's this. It's responsibility for your results. It's got to be every time.